Welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we are going to have a look over the firewall footprinting and the fingerprinting detection and the methods to analyze the firewall rule sets. Not all the firewall rule sets, but if there is the firewalls still existing on the target site or not. In that case, we can be sure that we have to use the fingerprinting tool or not, and that way we are making the time-consuming tasks to happen in the lesser time. So opening up the root terminal with the root privilege here. So at first we have the many tools in this case, but we are going to stick with some of the few which are actually advanced, and some of them also depends on each other, like the Nmap scripting engine have also the WAF, that is a tool to detect the firewalls and the presence of firewalls with the multiple signatures around the world that are most commonly used over the target web servers and the sites and the all the way, so that we can detect that. Nmap also used that engine inside the Nmap scripting engine. We will see that here. So before going to that, we are going to use the Nmap. So let's first check for the Nmap here. And for the firewalls and the IDS evasion and detection, there is nothing, but these are all the detection techniques and the evasion techniques that we will see in the next module, which are that will be based for the Nmap and scanning and the detection, evasion, spoofing, and so on. But as of now, we are going to detect and fingerprint if the firewalls are actually there or not, and if there, what kind of firewalls and what the name of firewalls are there available over the web applications and the web server. So we are going to have a look over the Nmap scripting engine. So that command is here inside the USR share Nmap and the scripts. So these are the locations where all of the scripts are actually available. Now going to type the ls, we will reveal all of the scripts available here. So we can see all these are the Nmap scripting engine. We will see in the next couple of modules and the lessons that we will have some of the vulnerability scanning and the some of the best things. So in this lesson, we are going to use the HTTP, that is here, HTTP fingerprint and detect option. So these are two best of the things that can be used to detect the HTTP firewalls and the any rule sets that are available over the target. So searching for the HTTP and the WAF, here might be at the top. Here we can see there are two. That is, the first one is the HTTP WAF, that is the web application firewall, and the detect, and the second one is the fingerprint. So we are going to use this two, and at last we will also use the WAF, because the firewall detection techniques inside the Nmap scripting engine is also the part of the WAF signatures. So for the WAF, let me open up that too at the parallel side. So the command is WAF, that is the WAF W00F. Going to hit enter, and we can see these are going to let me open up the with the -H option. So these are going to detect the firewalls with the multiple kind of the techniques that is going to use inside this one, and we can use multiply everything and use the syntax that will be most probably going to hunt for the firewalls. Actually, this tool is going to match against the several rule sets and the firewalls that are used most commonly worldwide. So for the first thing, I'm going to use the Nmap. So before going to do that, we can also be sure that if the target site is having some of the firewalls, either the stateful or the stateless. So for the definitions, there are many cases you will find the stateless, because maintaining and having the functionality of the stateful firewalls to block the probes and work according to the rule sets are more difficult than the stateless, because the ACK protocol, not the exactly protocol, I am talking about the ACK packet. So ACK packet, that is the acknowledgement packet, is very hard to filter by the web application firewalls. And if these are the stateless firewalls, then this is simply to be unfiltered. And if this is stateful, this will be going to create a mess over the target site, because this is hard to manage. And the reason is simple. No firewalls, or usually not all firewalls, can filter the ACK probes. So in this case, the ACK packets. So that we need to use that in order to get the response back from the target site. So let me open up the Nmap here and start with the scanning first. And the command is simple: scan -s and the capital A, that is the ACK scan. So if I'm going to scan for the scanme.nmap.org site that is allowed to be scanned, so hitting enter will reveal some of the informations, and let's check. Now we can see this is unfiltered, meaning that there is no stateful firewalls are actually over the target site. And if this is filtered, there will be the stateful firewalls. So we can be sure there is no stateful firewalls, but still there are some of the few mechanisms that will be sitting behind that target site and going to not allow that. Because what happens when the ACK packet probe is going to be sent over the target? So whenever we send the ACK packet, the open and close ports both will send with the reset packet. Let me show you here using the minus reason. So this syntax is going to show the reason why this is unfiltered. And because we can see here, this is unfiltered because of the 1000 resets. So all 1000 ports that are the most commonly used ports have been unfiltered from the target site, and the 1000 resets have been sent back to my local machine here. So we can be sure that there is no firewall, stateful firewalls available over there. Now moving to the Nmap scripting part here. Nmap and a script. So I'm going to use directly the fingerprinting tool here. So the script equals http waf and fingerprint. And that's all. We don't need to use anything else here. Now we need to put the target site. So in this case, I'm going to use the Airbnb that is legally allowed to be scanned because of the bug bounty programs this is listed in. So that's why I'm going to use this one. So airbnb.in and hit enter. And we need to wait for that to be this scan or fingerprinting to be completed. Alright, so again we can see there is the firewalls that are going to be filtered. So we can see the ports have been filtered out. Now in this case, because the modern sites and the modern web applications have understood the behavior of the Nmap, and that's why not all of the commands are going to give us the positive results. So we need to tweak some of the commands here. So I'm going to use the script arguments in this case here. So script args equals the http waf. Alright, so this is not dot, this is minus waf, then again the fingerprint, and this time I'm going to use the intensive. So intensive in this way equals to 1, and now this is going to scan for the firewalls with the extra set of the scans and the scripting edges that will be including with the firewall rule sets, and the firewalls, most commonly used firewalls, will be used more aggressively. So this way, let's check if this is working. If still this is not working, we are going to use another set of things, and we need to wait for that once again. Alright, so now we can see the ports have been filtered, and most probably the firewalls there that are being the probes are being filtered. So I'm going to use the scan type here, that is the Xmas scan, and let's check if there is something positive results. Alright, so now once again we can see now the open and filtered. So there might be something more that are blocking our probes. So this time let me stick to the port that is 80. Alright, so now we can see the filtered once again the port. Now I'm going to moving to the scan types all around to check which are being bypassed and scan for the fingerprinting the firewalls on the target site. In most of the cases you are going to have not the single sort, or you don't need to go through. Alright, so this is also filtered. Let me use the window scan. Again, there is no positive results. Null scan. Alright, so now we can see everything has been filtered, and this is also might be the case because I have already used this site to scan and fingerprint the firewall. Now let me change the target here because my IP might be blacklisted there. Scanme.nmap.org, and check if there is something details we are going to have. Alright, so after a few retries and the attempts made to detect the firewalls and the what kind of the firewalls are there actually using the Nmap scripting engine, we can see now the this is for the PayPal, and hopefully the Airbnb is blocking my IP address, and that's why the reason is that this is not being returned with the firewalls. So I tried for the PayPal. At first we can see here the detect option. The first one is the script fingerprint, and the script argument with the detect, there is no response. But if I use detect and the detect for the script arguments and the script both, then we found that yes, there is the web application firewalls, or the IDS IPS is there, and this is something the information that have been found using some of the techniques that the Nmap and the WAF view of signature is being used here. Similarly, we can try for the if I'm going for Airbnb, and let's try out, but I think there will be no response because of the IP block and the signatures that the Nmap is sending to the target, and that's why there is no returns of the positive response. Alright, so we can see now there is no response here once again, and if I'm changing this to fingerprint, so I use the thing that the first thing is the script that is the detect and the argument with the detect, then it was able to detect the services or the IDS IPS web application firewalls. So now I'm trying to use the script that is the HTTP WAF detect and script arguments with the fingerprint, and let's check. Alright, so hopefully this is the IP blocking. We can try out with the another set of the targets in this case, and this will result. So PayPal again. Alright, so using the one tool and depending over the one tool is not always a good idea, so we need to check for another thing. So I'm going to use the WAF here, so let it be finished, and hopefully this must be soon. hit enter to check for. All right, so there is no response. Now let me clear this and use the WAF view with the -h for the help. So now I'm going to use the all, that is the find all, and the that matches the signatures, and do not stop testing on the first one. So this is going to test on all of the signatures it have in the databases. So we can also use the -r for the no redirect, and using the target, in this case the again, if I'm going for the first time, the hacking.org, and all right, so -h must not be here. So I'm going to put the -a signature for all of the signatures to taste and not to stop at one. And let's wait for that to have some of the positive results. Hopefully this is going to give us the positive results. And yes, we can see here this is behind the Cloudflare firewall and hosted over the Cloudflare. So we can see this seems to be behind a verification firewalls, or the WAF, and some sort of security solutions. And the response it is giving us to is the reason to detect that one. So this is the signature basically. Now coming back once again to the Nmap one that I used previously here. So what the reason here to return, so as we know, the IP blocking and the firewall is obviously there is going to block, or the IPS system is going to block my probes if I am going to repeatedly scan for any specific site. And that's the reason, because earlier I scanned for the Airbnb and it was returned with the positive results with the firewalls. You can try out using the Airbnb, and this is at first shot you are going to get the firewalls that are there on the target site using the same technique, same method. And so this is overall thinking is here that we need to move around every techniques and combine multiple techniques. Now this is just for the footprinting firewalls. In the next module we are going to use multiple things with the timing and performance, and the spoofing the source IP addresses, spoofing the source port, Ethernet adapters, and so on. Multiple things will be there to bypass the firewalls and get the scan done with all of the informations that we will get from the target back to us. Similarly, we can do so with the WAF woof and so on. So you can try out using the WAF woof. Let me try out once again for the WAF woof. So for that time is paypal.com. Again, here we can see there is not much difference here, but only it says yes, there is the firewall, or the PayPal is behind the web application firewall, or some sort of security solutions. So this is not specifically going to tell you that what kind of web application firewalls are there, because the firewalls itself are in the security containers and on the perimeter firewalls. So that will block the same scans. And as we already know, the most commonly used tools are always the target of the firewalls, IDS and the IPSs. So we need to tweak and change between the tools and the techniques that we are going to use. We can also craft the packets to scan for the particular services and the particular sites to get rid of all these blockings, and the probes are blocking on the target site. At last, let me once again try out airbnb.in with some sort of the scan details and the scan types that I'm going to use. So now this is the fingerprint, and let me hit enter, and all right, so there is something issues. So the spelling mistake is here. All right, so the probes are being filtered. A scan with Xmas scan. Then we will move to null scan, Windows scan, and fin scan, and all the scan types are there. if I'm going to use the -pn option for the no host discovery. Alright, so this is taking a lot more time. Let me cancel this and stick to the port so that it will be doing it faster and scanning only one port. Alright, so at last we are lucky enough to get the details and the fingerprinting the firewall of the Airbnb here. So we can understand now how we are going to navigate between the commands and the arguments that we are going to put with the different kind of syntax. As you can see, now I tried with the -pn, that is no host discovery, with the port and a specific port, and it is scanned for that and fingerprinting the same firewall that we were trying to scan for. So now we can see detected web application firewall is the Citrix NetScaler. So this was not actually the task that is always required, because once we know there is the firewall, we can bypass that using some of the mechanisms, because every firewalls have some of the vulnerabilities, or there might be the chances of the vulnerabilities. So that's why I tried to fingerprint using the different set of the methodologies. Hope you understand clearly. See you in the next lessons. Thank you.